What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. Happy to be with you talking golf another week on the PGA Tour. Pretty much an every week thing after the first of the year here. So we've got another tournament this week. That is the American Express. So you've got myself, Justin Van Zuiden, a.k.a. STL Cardinals 84, and Mr. Notorious, Derek Farnsworth, alongside as usual. Noto, how was your week?
Yeah, it was a great week for me. Ended up taking fourth in the $20 GPP on DraftKings, thanks to some unreal run out there at the end. But yeah, sorry the show's starting a little late. I thought it was 5:45 my time, and it was not. So glad we're here now, at least. Appreciate you guys waiting.
Yeah, no worries. It's always a little bit of a floating schedule. Sometimes the NBA lock will delay us a little bit, but still, and I know this isn't your favorite tournament, so I was kind of nervous that you were just dipping out for a while. But we're here now. 15-minute delay never hurt anybody, so we'll get it rolling. We'll go through the American Express, and congrats on the hit there last week. So nice to see that. Had one lineup with a little bit of a sweat myself, but that did not get the best run out on Sunday. So no big payday for me, but we'll turn our attention to the following week's tournament here with a unique event. But looking back at last week a little bit, it was didn't quite have the scoring firepower that maybe we sometimes see. A little bit of a stiff breeze there a few days, but looked like it was kind of a two-man race there between Jaeger and Spawn coming down on Sunday. You know, everyone was going to give me some grief for just randomly throwing shade at JJ Spawn last week. And then he's in the lead going into Sunday. I had quite a bit of Jaeger last week, so I was rooting for him. And then they kind of both got stuck in neutral on Sunday, and it came down to Taylor and Echeverria there, who ended up being in the playoff with Taylor getting the job done. So ended up being a pretty tight leaderboard on Sunday, and it was Taylor kind of coming out of nowhere, really. I mean, he was kind of hanging around the top 10, but Taylor with the win. So who was the big key there to your lineup?
Yeah, so I had Jaeger and Nick Taylor, and they both bogeyed on the back nine, so I dropped down to like 12th or something. So I was like, okay, don't have any chance. And then Spawn bogeyed 17, so I was like, okay, maybe Jaeger can get in the playoff and win. And then Nick Taylor got that free drop on 18, chipped in for eagle, and then Spawn and Jaeger both parred 18. So yeah, that definitely helped. And then Taylor winning in the playoff also helped. So that was big for me. And shout out to one of our members. He wrote me. He was asking who I was going to play for one and done. Told him Henley, and he was like, "I'm going to play Nick Taylor." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Just elite course history." So I ended up getting, adding some exposure to him in my MME player pool just because of that. And yeah, ended up helping me out a ton. So it was funny. I had made 70 lineups and won 6 of 6, and that was the one. So ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, I had 6 of 6 as well, which ended up being my lineup with a shot there on the weekend. But I think at one point on Sunday, with kind of around 9 holes left for the leaders, I was in like 20th, I think, but never really got up too much higher than that. So, all right, let's go ahead and anything else, I guess, takeaways from last week. It was a pretty low 6 of 6 percentage. I think only like 2 to 3% of lineups. There was a whole lot of guys at like -2. The cut line ended up being -3. So Novak was the guy I was on that finished at -2. Benny On was -2. Poston was -2. Siwoo Kim was -2. Berger was -2. So there was just a huge difference in the cut line, between if it would have been -2 versus -3. Lots of big names there kind of just missed out.
Yeah, I could have used Poston. We had a little 6-leg made cut parlay that was looking pretty good. Just needed Poston as the last guy, and he ended up bogeying his 17th hole on Friday. So that was a little frustrating, but that's how it works. And yeah, a lot of big names ended up missing the cut. So it's kind of fun when you have weeks with low 6 of 6 percentage, just because you know where you stand heading into the weekend. But yeah, I like the event. I love watching some late night golf in Hawaii. Always makes me feel a little bit warmer in this my neck of the woods. But yeah, Nick Taylor, I think he's won twice in the last year now.
Yeah, and Echeverria has been playing some good golf too. We've seen some top finishes out of him, so nice to see some of those guys in the mix that aren't the usual suspects in some of these events. So let's go ahead and turn our attention to this week. We have the American Express on a trio of courses at PGA West. It's also a Pro-Am tournament, so the golfers are paired with an amateur, which is why they have to use 3 courses. So for the first 3 rounds, you'll play each of the 3 courses, and then the cut won't come until after the 3rd round. The rounds are always pretty slow, takes a long time to get through and play them. And that's part of what, and we only have Shot Tracker for one of the 3 courses. So part of what makes this, maybe not our favorite event to talk about every year. Hey, there's still big money to be won. Maybe Noto's got a little bit more pep in the step after a big finish last week. So perhaps you're more excited for this event than normal.
I mean, I don't hate the 3 courses. I just hate that they can't get Shot Tracker. It really hurts the sweat the first 3 days, and then it's not great for Showdown either because you can't really sweat the guys unless you're playing the guys from the P Dye course, and that has historically played the tougher of the
hardest
3.
course of the 3.
Although, I mean, they're all very easy. They're all pretty much in the top 10, easiest on tour. So La Quinta's the easiest of the 3. So if you do want to stack that one for Showdown, I don't hate it, but I'm not sure. They typically put all the studs so that they play.
They're playing it on Saturday.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about if you're playing Showdown about what guys are starting on which course, but it would be nice to have Shot Tracker data for the sweat and for Showdown purposes. But so all 3 of the courses less than 7,300 yards. They're all par 72s. They're all very easy. The winning score is typically at least 25 under par. You mentioned the Pro-Am format. It's going to be very slow golf. But at least there's 3 courses, so the tee times aren't too spread out. There's not much. I don't know, not much focus on one course in particular, just because they're only going to be playing the stadium course twice. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on it. There is water in play on 8 of the holes. The fairways are pretty wide. The greens are pretty big. A lot of approach shots from 100 to 200 yards, but just one of those events where you got to make birdies. Got to be patient, and got to make a lot of putts. That's typically what happens on these birdie fests.
Yeah, gonna have to make birdies. I mean, the winning score can get to like 30 in this event, so it's not going to be one where you can grind your way through. And with the cut coming after the 3rd round, a lot of times the cut line will be like in the double digits under par. I can't remember what it was, 12. Something like that last year. So all pretty easy, as we mentioned, par 72 courses, and going to have to make a lot of birdies. And I meant to do this before we got into it, but did you watch any of the Golf League broadcast last Tuesday?
I didn't, but I heard Tiger's playing tonight.
And that's already started, I think, or is starting soon. I think they started it earlier
I listened to a recap of it. Sounds like it went over pretty well. I think the ratings were pretty decent. So
there was nothing else on, but it was. I watched. I mean, I kind of had one eye on it. I watched most of it. I wasn't as fond of it, and I don't know. I guess I don't know what I really expected. I mean, you're hitting the ball into a simulator screen, so it's not going to be real quote unquote golf. And the match wasn't really all that close, so maybe that played into it. But I don't know. They need to find a way to liven up the broadcast. There was a lot of dead air. I don't know. I mean, I think it can work, but it would not be appointment viewing for me, at least right now. I was kind of surprised that the feedback was as positive as it was, but I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I watched it.
I heard DJ Khaled wasn't the best.
Right. Yeah. And then there was just, and it's tough. Like, I don't know, it's tough to fit that into like a broadcast mold, and plus, it wasn't the groups that they had last week. I don't know, maybe it'll be better with some of the other teams, but the back and forth, like banter between the teams and all that stuff was really not there at all. So I don't know. It could work in the long run, but nothing that I'm sitting down going, oh, I got to watch this. Must see TV at this point. But
sounds like Tigers down 3-0. at the moment.
Well, we got maybe another blowout in the
He's
works.
playing with Homa and Kisner, is that right? I feel like his team is not very.
That would explain why they're down 3-0 then. I don't know. I don't have it on.
Homa's playing with 2 retirees pretty much.
Poor Max. All right. At least we know he could hold up the end of his bargain with Trash Talk if it gets to that point. But all right, let's go ahead and dig into this week. We've got an interesting field at the top. So Xander was originally committed to this event. He has withdrawn. So you've basically got, I'd say, a trio of golfers at the top that will be probably the primary options for most people to consider. That would be Justin Thomas, Sungjae Im, and Sam Burns. Thomas is 10-4, Im is 10-3, and Burns is 9,800. Are you prioritizing any one of those 3 at the top this week?
Yeah, similar to the last week, I think I'm going to have 2 of these top guys in most of my lineups because of Xander withdrawing. The pricing seems a lot softer than it usually would. If he would have withdrawn before pricing would have came out, JT would have been more expensive, Sungjae would have been more expensive. So I definitely think you can get a couple of these in each lineup. My favorite is going to be Sungjae. He's finished T13 or better in 14 of his last 18 starts, which is Scheffler-like. And then you look at the course history, top 25, 5 straight years. So Sungjae's the easy click for me. I think he's going to be the most popular guy on the board, but certainly no issue with JT. He was third here last year, playing some better golf recently. Sam Burns is the guy that's really good putter, so you kind of like him in these birdie fest. He's been good at this event. So yeah, I like all 3. If I had to rank them, I'd go Sungjae, JT, and then Burns. But I'm probably going to be 30% or more of all 3 in my MME builds.
Yeah, so I think Im is probably going to be the most popular when you look at his history here. It seems like he's got the momentum this week that everyone's looking at. So I do not have a strong take on all 3 of them. I personally do think that Im will end up being more popular than what we have. So I'm going Burns and Thomas just in terms of leverage over the field and GPPs. But again, that's not a strong take by any means, mainly just playing the ownership game. And because I think that Im will be significantly more popular than the other 2. I know we have them fairly close right now, but just based on the buzz and stuff that I'm seeing, I do think that will stretch more towards Im and less on Thomas and Burns. So I've tagged Burns as my favorite guy right now. We have him the lowest owned of the bunch, but I do think that all 3 of them are certainly fine. And I like them quite a bit over Cantlay, who we also have at similar ownership. I'm just not sold on Cantlay right now. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen him be a consistent contender. If you just looked at his results and covered up the name, like you wouldn't think that this is a guy that's going to be at the top of a field every week. So I can't do it with Cantlay right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I know he's from California, tends to play well in California, but he's played 1 event since the start of September. I mean, that's 5 months almost, 4 months. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. His approach play has just gotten worse and worse if you look at his time frames over the last 2 years, 12 months, 6 months. So that's concerning, especially at the birdie fest. He just hasn't been playing much golf. Now, kind of the same thing, came off the injury, was T15 at the Century. Tends to play well on the West Coast. He's from Utah, but kind of have the same concerns there with rust. And you always worry about him in a birdie fest. Is he going to make enough putts to really be in contention? I did bet Wyndham Clark this week, but that's just because I feel like his upside is the same as everyone else's, and he's 33-1, while like JT and Sungjae are 12-1. So it's more of a value thing. For DFS, I think I'd just rather get up to the top 3. Tom Ken, don't love him.
You think that's just because there's a little bit more like downside in Clark's game, or what is it?
For DFS?
Well, I'm just the reason why we think he's got similar upside, why his odds are so much lower than the others, or higher, I guess, if you want to phrase it that way.
Yeah, he just hasn't been in very good form. But yeah, I mean, I think he's won 3 times in the last 2 years, which is more than JT, Sungjae. I think Burns has the same amount of wins. So strictly from like a win equity standpoint, I think it's pretty close. And just from 33-1 compared to 12-1, I think there's more value there. But For DFS, I do like those other guys. And then I don't really like the bottom of the range. You can maybe play Siwoo Kim. He always plays well here. Always plays well on P-Dye courses. And I guess you could play the Cam Young, snub narrative because he didn't get picked to play in the TGL the other night. They played Ricky Fowler over him. So maybe he's a little heated heading into
And Fowler was terrible. He was the worst player by
heard.
far the other night. So, again, doesn't mean a whole lot, but he was awful. Siwoo, 4 straight top 25s at this event. Clark has also made the cut the last 4 years. Not as glitzy with the overall results. I do think Finau is okay in GPPs. He's made the cut 5 straight times here, gained almost 40 strokes on the field. Do worry a little bit, about the lingering effects of his injury issues. But Siwoo certainly fine after missing the cut last week. People might be a little bit nervous on him. His projected ownership is down in the low teens, so very respectable at 12% ownership on Siwoo. Go ahead.
Do we think Grazerman's going to be 30% owned?
No, I do not. I don't. That's probably a little high, but I think he's a solid play, but I'm only seeing 17.
Okay, maybe I picked him up this morning. I'm just looking in my model, so that's nice to hear because I was really excited, and then I thought there's no way I can play him. 17 is a lot more reasonable.
Yeah. So I certainly think he's fine in that kind of realm as well. I think you can mix and match some of these guys. Probably out on Tom Kim here. I'm out on Cam Young. It just always seems to be a little bit overpriced and overrated. So those are the guys I'm probably out on in this range. Anything else above 9K?
I was going to talk about Grazerman just because he's been in great form, and now he's seeing these courses for the second time around. I kind of like when rookies are playing their second years. They have more familiarity with the courses. So he did make the cut here last year. So if he's going to be less than 20%, I'll probably play some of him.
Yeah, made the cut here last year and has looked like a completely different golfer. So I don't think he'll be mega chalk. The price will, I think, keep it in line a little bit. So don't mind him at 9.2K. All right, let's go ahead and move down into the 8s. And I mentioned last week I was a big fan of Harry Hall. I said there was still room to grow even with his price tag being up to around like 8K. Another top 10 finish, his second straight to start the year. Now he's 8.8K. Like, this would be one of the spots over the years that if you didn't buy in when he was super cheap, you're not buying in while the train is just chugging down the tracks. But this is one that I have hit from the get-go, and it's paid dividends. So I will continue to play Harry Hall until he gives me a week where he's disappointing. So even at 8.8K, I know that seems high. I'll play some Harry Hall this week. Spawn got the bump up as well after the shade I threw at him last week. You've got Davis Thompson in here. Defending champ Nick Dunlap. He's the one who kind of had his career breakthrough at this event. Eric Cole, Brian Harmon, Fishburne, Zalatoris, kind of in this 8K range. Who are you liking in the middle tier?
Yeah, you've been on Harry Hall forever, so nice call on him. I've kind of been in and out, so I guess I've been decent with him because he's just been great every week. But yeah, I like him in tournaments. I think it's a great bounce back spot for Davis Thompson. Missed the cut last week, but second and 21st here in his 2 appearances. He's one of those young guys that can make a ton of birdies. And then I don't really love anyone else until we get down to Eric Cole. He's just great on easy courses. It's been the case ever since he started on the PGA Tour. He's second in this field on strokes.
He's got all the experience in all those mini tour events, all those 52, easy courses.
52 wins on the mini. Then my hot take is that he gets his 53rd professional win this week in the survey. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But he was on my winning team last week too. Ended up finishing 5th. So I like him. And that's pretty much it in the 8K range. Are you going to play any Zalatoris or Dunlap?
Yeah, I don't. The famous last words, I don't think Zalatoris can make enough putts to win this tournament. So I'm out on him this week. The guy I think is somewhat interesting is your boy Harmon, who always tends to play well here. He was kind of in the mix last week, but made no putts on Sunday and fell to like 21st or something. Like if Harmon would have finished 6th last week, I think his ownership would be probably double what it is now. So yeah, Hall is my 1A option in the 8Ks. And I don't know, I'm switching to your boy Harmon as my 1B. And I usually just let you make the Harmon calls. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We're switching it up this week.
So yeah, bizarro world. I don't bring him up, and you do.
And Fishburne, I don't mind as well. Another strong finish last week for him. Price tag doesn't seem too bad on him. Kind of with your call there on Cole. So I probably lean towards the bottom of this range, basically Hall plus some of those guys at the bottom: Cole, Harmon, Fishburne.
Can we go back to Nick Taylor?
I don't think so, but I didn't play him last week. Yeah. So if he's the new Harry Hall, I'm going to miss that train.
I'll have to ask the one member that sent me the.
So see, the problem with me with like Nick Taylor in a one and done format is that I would feel like there would never be a need for me to use Nick Taylor at any point during the season.
Right.
So
unless it was like Bermuda or something, and then
right.
He's still
and so if you're I can see it if it's late in the year and you're behind and you're trying to YOLO something weird, but I wouldn't use Nick Taylor the first event of the year. Not that I'm complaining, because we both, I believe, used Henley last week. So take the 10th place finish for the start, but wouldn't have had Nick Taylor on the bingo card. All right. 7Ks, high 7K range, quite a few names here between 7.5 and 8K. Denny McCarthy has withdrawn, so make sure that you aren't playing him. But otherwise, we've got guys who've been playing fairly well in here. Griffin, Hoagie had a solid start last week before fading a bit. If you're into course history, I guess Adam Hadwin might be your guy this week. And then you've got some guys that have maybe been a little bit more hit or miss. Jason Day, JT Poston in here. Straka is another guy that's been playing pretty well that will probably end up being one of the more popular options in this range. What do you like in the upper sevens?
Yeah, my model loves Ben Griffin right now. He's the 8th overall in the model. He's the 23rd most expensive on DraftKings. So I'll play a bunch of him. He's really good on the easy courses too. He kind of rates out the same as Eric Cole. He finished 9th here last year. I'm going to keep playing Nico Echevarria. He's been terrific in the fall, and then T32 in second the last couple of weeks. The model likes Flo Hossler, but he just hasn't been good here or recently. So I'm kind of torn on that one. I do like Sepp Straka. He's a streaky player. He's got 3 straight top 30s. And then I'll play some Johnny Vegas. He doesn't have the good course history that a lot of these guys do, but he's been awesome ball striking recently. He's been putting a little bit better. If you do want a putter, though, Seabez, back-to-back 11th place finishes. He actually got credit for the win here last year in the FedEx Cup standings because Dunlap was an amateur. So it helped him get into the top 30, get into the Tour Championship, and then secure his spot and like all the majors and stuff. Just kind of funny. And then Dunlap didn't even get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. So weird.
That is very strange. The rules are just, I don't know. We've talked about it enough on the show that I don't have to beat the dead horse. But, I mean, look at what Clanton's done over the last 6 months, like for no status whatsoever or anything. It just strange, but that's golf for you. So we're not going to effectuate any change by whatever words come out of my mouth. So I'll just stop harping on it. I think Hossler, my favorite in this range as well, along with Griffin. I don't have a lot of options that I love in that range. I actually prefer dipping down into the lower parts of the sixes a little bit more. So, I mean, we've got Keith Mitchell in here. I'll let you talk about him because, again, I haven't got him right for a long time. But Novak missed the cut on the number, I believe, or maybe by 2, but he was close last week. I don't mind going back to him this week. All the way down at 7K, Rico Hoey is another guy that I've played throughout the fall swing that basically paid dividends every time. Like, nobody talks about Rico Hoey, but he hasn't missed a cut since last year's U.S. Open, which I believe he's at 14 in a row now, somewhere between that 12 and 14 range. And he's 7K. Like, I expected him to maybe be like 8,200. Not bad form coming in. I know it wasn't great last week, but still made the cut, and he's 7K. So Hoey, Chan Kim, Novak, Meissner, those are some guys I really like in the lower part of the 7K range. Who do you like in here?
Yeah, I like all those calls, especially Chan Kim. makes a ton of birdies. Was T14 here last year. A couple course history guys on my radar. Alex Smalley, 3 straight top 25s here. He's been pretty good during the fall. Was T16 last week. And then anytime, if you like Brian Harmon, you got to play Andrew Putnam. They're like the same golfer, same course history.
Combine them together.
He's he's made at least 5 straight cuts here with 3 top 25s. I don't know. Oh yeah, Keith Mitchell, got to bring him up. So I was gonna compare him to Harry Hall. Like 2 months ago, he was 10K in fields, and Harry Hall was like 7K, and now he's 7K, and Harry Hall is 8,800. It's just funny how form works with golfers. Like but he did make the cut last week. He's been good here. A couple top 25s the last 2 years. So I'll play some Keith Mitchell, and that's pretty much it for me in the low 7s.
All right. Let's see. Let's round it out here with some value options, and maybe we'll try to sneak another snake draft in. By the way, TJ, beginner's luck, wins the snake draft last week. Fills in, producing on the show, wins the snake draft. Easy money. So kudos to him. But
he was sweating it too. We had our football show Friday, and he was, we're all right there. It's going to be close. So he was sweating it, which I love.
Well, kudos to him. So, all right. We'll try to fire one up here, and actually maybe we can talk about the 6K. Let's get in the snake draft to make sure we can get it filled. And then we can talk about the 6Ks while we wait for that to fill up. So we'll find a snake draft. There is an empty $5 right now, 0 of 6. So we'll join that one.
Just link in the chat.
All right, yeah, we're at 2 of 6 now. So hopefully we get enough people to join. Figure since we were able to fill one last week, maybe we can do it this week. Doesn't work, we can always just hop off early. But all right, let's talk 6Ks. Again, not a ton of elite options in here, and there's enough options in the lower 7s that you probably don't have to dig this deep. But Justin Lower's a guy I've played occasionally at 6.9K, makes plenty of birdies. It does tend to be pretty volatile, but on a course where you need a lot of birdies, I think there's potential ceiling there. So Lower at 6.9K would be my preferred option. Maybe sprinkle in a little bit of Norlander, Carson Young, but guys that I've played plenty in the past, but aren't in as good a form right now. Is there anybody popping for you or in your model in the 6Ks?
Yeah, Justin Lower is my guy too. A couple recent top 5s, a couple made cuts here. Good enough for me at 6,900. Carson Young, anytime the greens are really easy to hit, I always play him because he makes a ton of birdies, and his only weakness is around the green. He's like dead last in the field, 121st out of like 122 guys with stats. So anytime the greens are easy to hit, he's a guy I like to use. These greens should be very easy to hit. And one other thing is the setup's just going to be so easy because it's a Pro-Am. They're going to cut the rough down. They're going to have the pin placements in easy spots.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say when you mentioned your greens being easy to hit. Like they're not going to put the pins, a couple paces on and a couple paces off because the rounds already take forever and you have amateurs playing with these guys. So they make the pin locations pretty accessible. On Sunday, they'll trick it out a little bit more when it's just the top 65 in the final round. But for the first 3 days, they make the greens pretty easy to hit somewhat intentionally because otherwise, it'd be even add an extra hour to the round.
Yeah, so that's the reason I like Carson Young. He was 217 here last year. Pretty much it for me. I mean, Brendan Todd at 6,300 in a birdie fest maybe, but I don't think you need to do it.
Yeah, needs to make plenty of putts if he wants to make it in. At that salary, though, that's as cheap as we've seen him in quite a while. Wesley Bryan in the field, he was a thing for a little bit there during the fall.
He's been driving the ball well on YouTube. That means anything to you.
Hey, they're playing golf on simulators now, and so
he played Phil one-on-one. It was pretty fun. They're like the 2 biggest trash talkers in the whole video.
See, that's why you need to get these guys in that TGL, and then it'll spice up the broadcast a little bit. All right, we're kind of stuck on 4 here for the snake draft, so if we can't fill it up, we'll we'll have to duck out a little bit early tonight. But I got my Ravens. It's freezing here. It's like negative 1,000. So I know I still got my dress shirt on, but I got my Ravens sweater over it. So they dodged the bullet last week. Didn't lose in the first round to the Steelers. Probably could have beat them by about 40 if they wanted to keep their foot on the gas. But I don't know. I've been saying Lamar needs a Super Bowl if he ever wants to be considered one of the greats. So he's got to make one of these years. But Buffalo on the road makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, the crazy part is whoever wins is going to face their like playoff rival in the Chiefs again. You know, so
yeah, and Lamar and Josh Allen never win the Super Bowls because the damn Chiefs get there. Pardon the language, the darn Chiefs get there every year. But well, you got to beat.
For fun for a while, but I'm over it.
You're over it. So maybe the Texans can knock off the Chiefs. Doubt it. Which means, yeah, the Ravens are probably going to have to go through at Buffalo and at Kansas City if they want to get there. But they say if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So at some point, you gotta knock them off if you want to win it. Well, we got a little bit of a late start here tonight, and we are stuck at 4 of 6 on the snake draft. So I think I'm going to pull the plug on it for this week. We'll try it again next week and maybe promo it a little bit before the show. We got Torrey Pines next week, so should be a few more people hanging out. So I am going to back out of this, and we'll run it back next week. Anything else? Anything we've missed before we get out of here? I wouldn't go crazy this week. Like if you're with your bankroll management, this tournament tends to be a little unpredictable with the pace and the amateurs and stuff. So, don't. If you're not used to playing high volume of dollars, this wouldn't be the week to like volume up.
It's a bad week for me to have extra bankroll. I'm just going to be looking at
right. Yeah, they're going to be tempted. All right. With that, we'll go ahead and call it a night. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time, slightly later next Tuesday because I believe the NBA lock is a little bit later. So if you're watching us live, I think we're going to go 7:45 Eastern next Tuesday night. So as always, thanks to Steve for working hard, producing behind the scenes for us. Thanks to Noto for joining me. And I'm Justin. We hope you all have a great week. Enjoy it. And we'll see you back here next week, everybody. Take care. Good luck.